follow-up question.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, I almost started to visualize like a sun as my heart and spinning the vortex, and it's all here, and that makes me feel a lot of love. It feels really good and stable. So would that be a good practice for me, just to keep doing that all day?
And here's the thing. We're happy that you said that, because that came to you. You didn't conjure it. You didn't set out to think that. That came to you. You received it. That's what we want you to realize that this exercise is about. That's why Esther's words, when she is moving into the segment called meditation, her words are, I love the feeling of connection. I love the feeling of alignment. I adore having this knowledge about what alignment is. I adore the feeling of alignment. It's soft and it's general and it's pure. And then she says, we told you this already, and I adore watching the movie, if there is one. She doesn't say, I'm going to conjure a sun and I'm going to make it spin in me and I'm going to... She says, I savor the movie, if there is one. If there is one. I expect to get into that place where something will occur to me. But if you're receiving, you're not broadcasting. If you're receiving, you're not projecting. This is the receiving mode. This isn't the telling the universe what you want mode. That was step one. This isn't the making it happen mode. That was step two and wasn't even your work. This is the receiving mode. This is the listening for it. This is the being in the place. And this is the being in the place, not worrying about it. That's why Esther puts that caveat, if there is one. Oh, I'm eager to watch the movie. If there is one. Not, I'm going to see a movie and it's going to be so good. No. There might be a movie and I'm going to like it if there is. You feel the difference? Feel the difference? Oh, we are enjoying this fine-tuning with all of you. Be easy about all of this. Sometimes when we fine-tune, it gives you the wrong impression that it's hard. It isn't. It isn't. That's one of the things about getting a hold of these laws of the universe. They are consistent. They won't wiggle around on you. They will never be inconsistent. And so as we go deeper and deeper and deeper into the nuances of this, it gets easier and easier and easier for you, not more and more difficult. Once you understand the basics, then the nuances that come are more satisfying and always easier because they're more tangible for you. You follow that? So be playful. Have a wonderful day. Let those around you, whether they are in this room or not, let them be whoever they be. And you just be who you are. And that's someone who adores everyone on this planet, who acknowledges the value that each and every one of them has. Because a lot of them are so important to your step one moments. And your step one moments are so important to your building of your vortex. And so everyone is contributing to everyone. Don't you just love knowing that? The contribution that we all are to one another. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete. We are extremely pleased that you are here and eager for what is coming next. Co-creation at its best, really, at its best. You have an idea of where you are, what you want right now? It may feel to you that we are heading you off from the details of your experience, but that is not the case. We are eager to hear your details and to assist you in feeling our perspective about your details. We can't convince you of what we know about where you are, but we can know what we know about where you are. And in our unequivocal, non-resistant knowing, if you will relax just a little bit, you will know too, yes? So this will be a day of getting to the nitty-gritty of what you're about, because that matters to you and it matters to us. And moving energy to your advantage, yes? Because it's all about attraction, and how you feel is your point of attraction. So you will hear us, you will feel us, no matter what's going on in the conversation. You will feel us soothing with our knowing and calling you in that direction too. But don't be shy about what you want to talk about, because there is nothing off limits here. And what you're inspired to talk about is good. It's good. All right? So, what do you want to talk about? Begin right here.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be here in this oxymoron moment. Old friends meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
You made a
Well
promise
said. Well said.
that implied our friendship,
Yeah.
and it is yet like the first time we're meeting. So I've got a couple of questions that get a little bit deeper as they go along. And I thought I'd lay the foundation first up with some obvious questions and then come to the deeper one. The foundation of what is my inner being. The second one, what does my inner being think about my wealth, my desires? And the third one, my strong desires, do they actually think? Does it have a consciousness? And can I converse with it? Navigate around some of those tricky sticking points that I would have?
We like the nature of your questions. Your inner being is the consciousness that was you before you know yourself as who you now are. But it's not just the consciousness that was you, it is the larger part of the consciousness that is you. So your inner being is you. But sometimes your inner being is not recognized by you, because as humans, your personality leans toward unwanted and toward fixing problems, where your inner being is always solution-oriented, always. So if you can grasp the concept that your inner being is you, but it's the non-resisted version of you. It's like when Esther's Jerry made his transition into non-physical. It took her a little while to accept him in his completely non-resisted form. She didn't find him to be resistant in nature when he was in his physical body, and yet she knows that he was, because he was in his physical body. And so it took some orientation to begin looking for him where he is rather than looking for him as he was. And in a very strict sense, that's what we're asking of you. We're asking you to see yourself as you really are, not as this physical life experience has led you to believe that you are. You might have come to believe that you are vulnerable while your inner being never sees you that way, and so forth. You might have come to believe yourself not as worthy while your inner being never sees you that way. So that's who your inner being is. Consciousness, knowing. Now, consciousness to humans seems like words, and consciousness can be translated by you, as Esther is doing now, into words. So when you are really in sync with your inner being and you are receiving those impulses feel so natural to you as you receive them that you don't realize you're getting them from your inner being. So you keep asking the question, who is my inner being? When much of the time you are being your inner being. You are merged with your inner being. You get what we're talking about? So that's our quest. That's what we desire. We desire that you come to realize that much of the time, and we're speaking specifically to you, much of the time you're in concert with your inner being, so much so that you cannot separate your thoughts from the thoughts of your inner being, because you are receiving the vibrational version of them and translating them through your mechanism into physical word equivalent. So that's why you keep not knowing who your inner being is, because your inner being is you, and it's hard for you to accept that. It's hard to accept that. Most humans want that to be outside of them. We don't want you to think it's outside of you. It is not outside of you. It is you. Is this helping?
Yes.
So now, what was the last part of your question?
It stepped up to, therefore, what does my inner being think about my wealth?
Now, this is the part that you will understand. We know you will. So we're just going to set it out here straight up for you. So consciousness is consciousness, and whether you call it vibration or energy or thought, it doesn't matter. It's vibration or energy that you translate into thought or word, but it is all still consciousness. And thoughts are consciousness, and ideas are consciousness, and desires are consciousness too. And we don't want to make this feel complicated, because it is not. But when you think a thought, that thought does think. And therefore, what a clever question you've asked us, because your desire is consciousness too. But let's really make you understand what your desire being consciousness really means, because when you have been launching these rockets of desires all of this life and before, and your inner being has become the vibrational equivalent of all of those, because your inner being is a cooperative component to your desires. So trying to make a distinction or separation between your inner being and your desires is foolish, because your inner being is the non-embodiment, the non-physical energy version, the knower, the already beer of all of those desires. So if you can think of your inner being as the present tense vibrational version of all that you have become, and that's what your desires are, it's all that you have become vibrationally, then maybe you can relax a little bit and not try so hard and not do what most people do and think yourself out of connection. You can be the step 3 part of the equation. Esther sat to meditate before coming here a few times this morning, and the last thing she wrote on her segmented intending is, I am step 3, and I am good at it. I'm step 3. These lovelies will be the step 1s. They will ask the questions. Abraham knows everything about all of it. Abraham, your inner being, splitting hairs to try to make any distinction between those two. Non-physical energy knowing you. And so Esther's translating. She's step 3, and that's what we're asking you to do. Spend more of your time consciously, deliberately allowing, which means don't try so hard to be the answerer of the questions. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Humans want to be the answerer of the question because you want to be the one who figures it out. Well, let yourself be the one who figures it out, but let that non-physical part of you be you, and stop being in competition with your own inner being. Stop being in competition with your own inner being. Oh no, inner being, I've got this. I'll figure this out. You just stand by and feed me clues, because I will come and save the day. It's all sorted out. It's all sorted out. What you're wanting to do is to get yourself in a steady, receptive mode, so that when impulses come to you and you feel the power of the impulse, that no one can talk you out of your impulse.
No one can talk me out of my impulse. So quite often I have found myself where the inspired action seems irrational in the moment.
Yes?
Which led me to the next question is...
It's a high-flying idea. Source is all over it, and all things are possible. So Source knows what to do and knows what the path of least resistance is and gives you an impulse. Don't talk to other humans.
Yes. Yeah. How do I keep my head while all those around me are losing theirs, type thing?
Yeah.
Shy away.
By knowing who you're dealing with, and by practicing it, and by watching outcomes, and by acknowledging the correlation between when a strong, clear knowing comes to you, and you follow through with it, and what comes next is pleasing or helpful. We would like to just zap you all, and we mean that sort of like slap you upside the head. We'd like to zap you all with an understanding of who you are to us and how we feel about you. And we would like to help you to diminish the separation that you keep establishing in your vying for credit or marks on the chart or accolades from other humans, when you just want to live happily ever after. You want to follow your path of least resistance. If we could zap you with anything, it would be, in this moment, utter knowing of how blessed and deserving you are. That's what we would like to imbue you with. But most of you have practiced otherwise for a while, and so our words don't feel to you like something that you can quite let in. But when there's strong desire, when there's really, really strong desire, you're more likely to let that knowing in.